Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Tetrad TV. We have an amazing show lined up for you today. Tonight. It is popcorn cinema versus the box office. Talking all about movies. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Clink?
I'm doing good. I'm like sitting here like messing with OBS overlays and everything, and lose my place. It happens.
Oh, it's all good, dude.
It's all good. So
It's all good.
It's all good. Grenade, what's been going on in your channel this week?
My channel hasn't been popping all that much. I've been on live a few times, but they were long streams.
Mm-hmm.
Been playing the shit out of the new Destiny update, which is pretty cool. I mean, I feel like it's still kind of geared somewhat towards last season's type play style, but I hope it gets fixed. You can tell they're fixing it. The story is rad. The darkness is showing up. I beat the new dungeon already. Pretty stoked on that. Other than that, not being live, been dealing with some teeth issues.
Oh man.
Yep. And I gotta go back in for some more teeth issues in a couple weeks.
That's a big
My
deal.
son is now saying "mama."
Oh,
Yep.
that's so cute.
That's
adorable.
That
That's
is adorable. It really is.
And this morning I got the biggest hug from him. He didn't want to let me go, so I was pretty stoked on it. But aside from that, I'm doing good. Kick you guys over to the pen fighter.
Pen finder.
Why you guys struggle with my name today? You guys both. That's 0 for 2 now on last Pen Fighter.
I almost said pen finder again.
Not too great. So this week's been kind of a return to form for my channel. We got back into some horror games. We got back into looking at some different games that are new to me, games that are new to the industry, independent stuff. I'm really excited about it because I kind of got hung up on a couple of games there for a while. So that's dope. One of those that we finished this week, and Clink has some footage.
I do. Which one are you going into first?
We're going to jump into Remothered Tormented Fathers. So for those that like to hang out on my channel on Fridays, for Freaky Friday, we've been doing this horrifying game.
This looks scary as hell.
Yes, this was legit a scary game that actually had me stressed out as I tried to search for clues to like this insane mystery while I was being chased by 2 complete psychopaths. It was a lot of fun. There's not a whole lot of terrifying horror games on the Xbox, so guys, do not miss this one. It's full of jump scares. It's got some deep, really fucked up mysteries, and then of course there's more to come as well, which is always exciting when starting a new game.
Oh my god, this is a terrifying thing behind you. Oh my god.
Oh yes. Oh gosh. It's horrible.
Avert your eyes.
Children, look away. Yeah. This is so like look at the footage here that he's got showing here. You're strapped to a chair, and the psychopath is about to commit suicide by murder and fire. Is kind of the scene that's getting set up here. This was not one of the most best moments. I believe that in this cut, I'm going to fail miserably at preventing this murder from taking place. Is what's what's getting set up here. Yeah, there we go.
So what is the game about? Like, you're just trapped in this house with these killers, or?
Yeah. So the main character is this Karen in the chair. That's not her real name, but she's definitely a Karen. Like, she's looking for the manager the whole time. She's coming in here to come after this older gentleman who is at kind of like the apex of a murder about his daughter. Like, his daughter's missing, and maybe he actually killed the daughter instead of the daughter just going missing. So she's trying to get answers for it, and she's kind of being a nosy Karen is what she is. She ends up getting locked into the house, and it's kind of like the way it plays from there. There's an older game that this is like a spiritual successor of, and that would be the Clock Tower, the Japanese game. Do you guys remember the Clock Tower?
I don't. But
that's a horror survival game. You should. It's a horror survival game where it's you're in one building the entire time, and you're trying to search for clues while being chased. So that's basically what happens. And this way, you can see Mr. Crazy Face here doing his thing. I don't want to reveal too much of the story because talking too much about it, obviously there's spoilers, but the ending did reveal that there's more to the story, and a second game is coming out in August on PC and all consoles. That's called Remothered Porcelain, I believe. I think it's just Porcelain. Broken Porcelain, maybe. They've been kind of changing that title around, but that was that game. And then I played some Warhammer 40k, Inquisitor Martyr. I know, Click, you had some footage for that. We don't have to pull it up if you don't want to.
I got the footage. You don't have to talk through the whole thing, but we have a little bit of it behind you.
No, yeah, well, there's the footage. Heck yes, look at this game, guys. So Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr, that's by Neo Core Games. It's an action RPG, Diablo style, but that's kind of the comparisons to Diablo end pretty quick, and it's Warhammer to its core. As far as like having a cover system, the abilities are based on the weapons you're wielding. It's almost like you have one of the tabletop models, and you can outfit them how you want and send them into battle. So it's pretty dope. If you're into the Warhammer 40k universe and you like action RPGs, I'm super hooked. It's got
So
a
it's
cover
like
system.
Warhammer Diablo with Gears of War. Is that what I'm kind of seeing here?
A little bit of
With the
grok
cover
because
system?
you do have like a chain sword and a cover system, so there's a little
Okay.
bit of Gears of War in there, if you want to consider it that way. But it's a loot based system, just like a Diablo or whatever you want to call it. So Broken Porcelain, yeah, for sure. But yeah,
That's
so
great.
anyway, this game, one of the things I liked about it, just to touch on it real quick, is I like the varying mission types. So you don't have to play through the story over and over and over to grind. And then there's a lot of quality of life stuff in there, like your inventory will sort itself instead of you having to like get it perfect.
With the Warhammer 40k, did you ever play the tabletop game?
Yep.
How does that like comparison to like the stories and stuff like that with the tabletop game into the game? Did they come up with their own universe in the story, like aside from the booklet that you got, or was it completely set off just with the Warhammer 40k characters?
So it's not the exact story that you would play through like a campaign setting that you would download from the site or whatever from Games Workshop. It's like its own campaign setting. So it plays just like you were doing a series of tabletop encounters. Is how it plays.
Awesome.
Care to give a little bit of like what the story might entail, just a little bit, like what the basic premise of it is, or without spoilers? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's possible without spoilers. The story without spoilers is a ship of space marines disappeared into the warp, which is like the fabric of space between reality and non-reality. It got lost into the warp, and then it came back centuries later, and there's a lot of demons and fucked up shit going on the ship. And you have to track down the ship in the early missions as you're learning how to play the game. And now I'm doing like a crusade on the ship to try to figure out what happened and
I'm
Awesome.
sold.
right the wrongs.
I mean, I tried to play some of those other Warhammer games, and I wasn't that impressed. But that top-down action RPG style game, that seems fun
Definitely.
versus some of the other ones that I played.
I think
It's
the whole thing
okay.
that drew me to Warhammer was the whole painting your characters. I think that was
Oh,
just a
man.
big part of it when I was younger. I didn't really even pay attention to the tabletop story itself, but just like painting the dudes.
That's what we did.
Awesome. Raccoon, what have you been up to this week?
Besides spending the last 10-15 minutes doing my makeup on stream, it seems
We cut you out for the
guys-
most part.
You cut me out for the most part. Hi everyone. I've been playing a lot of Destiny because new season, as Grenade said, fucking awesome as always. I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft Dungeons, which is way better than expected. Guys, I was wrong. Play it. I was wrong.
Play it.
Play it more than you just want to do for like 10 hours or something like that. Play it until the end. It's
Mhm.
great.
I still haven't been able to beat that last boss, by the way.
No,
Yeah, that
you
boss
still
sucks.
stuck?
I'm still stuck, and I'm like level 35.
Absolutely sucks. Yeah, I know, Mama Jen. Mama Jen's like, hey, haha, play it.
Hey, it takes a big girl to admit it, Raccoon.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been wrong about a few things in my life, and I'm not afraid to admit it. But Destiny 2 is never one of them. From there, I've been playing a little bit of Phantasy Star, and I'll go into that a little bit later because I'm excited to talk to you guys about it.
That's
Show off a
awesome.
little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just dropped on PC, so exciting.
Mhm. So Phantasy Star Online 2 is MMO. It came out years ago, and
yeah,
then-
it originally came out in July 4th of 2012 on Japanese PC release.
nice. And it is available on the
Wow.
Xbox,
of
whatever,
April
the
15th.
Xbox Pass.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's fucking amazing. Very,
That's so
very,
cool.
very nice.
$1 for that Xbox Pass, by the way, guys. $1 for
I
PC
wouldn't
only.
pass it up if I was you.
A whole $1, but I could get a McChicken, bro.
You could get a
Wow.
McChicken, bro.
You couldn't.
Wow.
You couldn't. I found out recently that McChickens they got rid of the damn dollar menu, man.
It's like the
$1.60
$1.50
now.
menu.
It's the
Yeah.
dollar.
Oh,
It's the
shit,
basic
okay.
menu now. It's
Dude,
just
Well,
the price of
corrected.
the prices of inflation at McDonald's these days, man,
49.
it's fucking horrible.
yeah, McDonald's, you pay an extra 49 cents. How dare?
Right.
What about you, Clink? What have you been up to this
Well,
week?
so I've been working obviously on kind of the branding and everything of our Tetra TV channel. So you see those lovely intros and we have outros and all these videos we have in the middle of it. So I've been editing all those all week, but I had a chance to get a nice surprise on Steam the other day. After the PC Games Show 2020, which I think we're going to be doing a breakdown video on that here soon, kind of like we did with the PS5 video.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There was just magically on Steam Persona 4 Golden, which has been locked on PS Vita since like 2012 when it originally came out. Like there was Persona 4 for PS3, and then they came out with Persona 4 Golden, similar to what Persona 5 Royal is, where Persona 5 came out on PS3, then PS4, and then now they just recently released Persona 5 Royal. So Persona 4 Golden, it is an amazing JRPG, and everybody should pick it up and play it. That's probably going to be a 100-hour game. It's probably going to be a 100-hour game, at least. So plenty of content, really cool animations, the art style, everything about it. I love that game. I love all the Persona series, though. Atlus does a fantastic job of doing this anime game. And of course, speaking of Atlus, what's up, Grenade?
What was the one where the personas, like how they had to summon the personas, they put a gun to their head?
That was
Which one
Persona
that?
3.
That's the one I enjoyed the most.
That's
Right there
the
was
one I
3.
enjoyed because female protagonist up until they.
So I can tell you guys that I'm an outsider of the Persona series. I'm not really that big of a weeb. That's not really the thing that I'm.
What are you calling me, a weeb?
But I was watching.
All of us weeps. How dare?
How dare! I was watching Clink play this game, playing Persona 4, and this dude was having the time of his life. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what's going on here. It's actually well written. So when he says like everybody can play it, I think he actually does literally mean this is a general audience game. Like anybody can find a reason to enjoy this game. Even I did. It's teenagers in high school having a slice of life. That sounds like nothing that I would ever be interested in, but it's written well.
But then there's also the
well.
RPG aspect of it. Like, sure, you got the slice of
Right.
life, which is half the
bro.
game, but
Nah, you're not sitting over there going, the RPG aspect's cool. You're going over there, I can date this girl, I can date that girl, I can
You
date this girl, I
date
can date that girl.
everyone at the same time.
This makes me want to do a hateable boyfriend review.
Oh, right? Totally.
Go
Well,
gems with the dad jokes. Oh,
So
man.
speaking of Atlus, we're going to get into some of our weekly game headlines. There were a few new games announced this week. First, we're going to go into 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. So this is 13 Sentinels. It just got announced at the PC Game Show. This is Atlus's new game, the creators of the Persona series. It's 13 separate stories intertwined into one major story arc. It looks amazing, and it drops on September 9th, I want to say. September 8th. PS4 exclusive. I know that Penn, you were saying there are no PS4 exclusives. Why am I going to get a PS4? That's the game to get your PS4 on.
You mean a PS5, sir?
PS5. Excuse me. PS5 exclusive.
It's
No,
not-
I think it's
not
going to
a
be
reason for
PS4. It's going to
me
be PS4.
personally.
Is it going to be PS4? Is it going to be both? Maybe?
PS4, probably PS5 later, because PS5 doesn't come out until later on in November, I assume.
Right,
Right.
so it'll be available on that. Mhm.
So this will be one of the last PS4 exclusives ever out.
Oh snaps!
Another game that got announced today, which there was a big stream this morning, is Star Wars Squadrons coming out on October 2nd. How do you guys feel about this? Like taking the Rogue Squadron game and making it modern, basically, is how I kind of saw it. They took that Squadrons title and made it Star Wars Squadrons.
Another halfway mediocre Star Wars game.
Grenade, what do you feel about that?
The Star Wars Squadron game?
Yeah. Like,
I
did you play
feel like-
Battlefront 2 or whatever?
I did. I
Okay.
played them all. My opinion on Battlefront 2 is I hated the game itself. I hated
Sure.
it. I absolutely hated every aspect of it. But
But you
here's
like the
thing.
dog fighting, right?
Yes, but here's the thing. if they stick to how they played or how they did the last Star Wars game, the third person one, with what's his face who played the Joker.
The Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen
one,
Order.
right?
If they
the Souls
kind of
clone.
stick to not like because I know it's a fighting game, but if they stick to like the storytelling aspect and keeping to the soul of Star Wars, I feel like it could be good. But other than that, man, I hated Battlefront. I mean, I hated it so much.
I mean,
I
from a
mean,
technology
space
standpoint,
fighting, right?
It's gorgeous. It's
It's
a gorgeous game.
it looks great, and like the technology now that developers are using for space fighting is just mind blowing. There's so much that's coming out that's on the release radar for simulations and flight. So that would be my kind of wondering: is it going to be a fully fleshed out combat simulator like you could get in a game like Elite Dangerous, or is it going to be more of like a wee let's have fun and pew things?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm interested to see the gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. We've got Desperados 3. I know, Penn, you are extremely excited about this game.
Yes, Desperados 3 looks super dope. It looks like a strategy game, but also it's got some of like the fun, spirited nature of like a Borderlands wrapped into a Western story. So that's exciting, and it's by THQ Nordic.
Nice.
And they never mess up, do they? So that looks dope. That comes out tomorrow.
That comes out tomorrow. We've got Disintegration, set in a near future sci-fi universe created by V1 Interactive, a newly assembled studio of industry veterans.
That's
what I got to say about it.
Yeah, the voice was amazing. I'm super down with Clink. Disintegration. I have deets on this, and then I want to hear from Grenade and Raccoon, especially on some of this stuff here. So Disintegration is V1 Interactive's debut game. This is the first time making a game. I did some digging this week, kind of looking into it because I'm trying to make a good, smart consumer decision. And I have limited money, tons of new games this week. So I was like, what am I going to do? So when I'm digging into this team, I find out that it's a team of 30 people. Some of them were still in college when they started making this game. I know they have the name Marcus Leto attached to this, the guy that kind of helped build the Halo story structure from the ground up back when Halo was brand new. Right, so like that, he's getting the publicity, but it's a 30-man team. This is not a major publication. So you add that small team to the publisher, which is Private Division. So Private Division put out Kerbal Space Program and Outer Worlds.
And Outer Worlds is amazing.
And Outer Worlds, right? So
I love Kerbal Space Program though. Like,
I love that game.
That is a fun physics simulator.
That game and Outer Worlds. So Private Division's whole mantra is they want to find passion projects and get them out there in front of as many eyes as possible. So it's a passion project. It's a creator's dream kind of a situation, and it's a different kind of a story. So let me read this quote from Marcus Leto, and then I see what you guys think of it. But Marcus Leto posted today, because the game comes out tonight at midnight on the East Coast. He posted today on a blog post on the V1 Interactive site. We are very excited for you to finally be playing a game that is very different from your typical shooter. I'll ask that you set aside your preconceived notions of how a first-person shooter is meant to be played and look at Disintegration with fresh eyes. Now, this game's a first-person shooter mixed with real-time strategy elements, so he's referring to it being like way different from what's out there. So, you guys are hearing this? What are you thinking?
I think Raccoon. Raccoon has many things to say. I can tell.
I have something here. So first off, one, they're selling it to people as a AAA game. They attached his name on it for people to buy it. First off, that's not a great step in the right direction. I mean, if you're selling it as this person's game, that doesn't make me feel confident in the game being actually good. Now, number two, telling me that makes me even less confident. If they have to decide how you have to view the game when you're playing it, you can't review it in a certain way because that's preconceived notions, then how bad is the game going to actually be that you have to see it through a separate lens entirely?
Wow. Raccoon, Jesus, stab me in the heart.
All right.
I feel like she went straight for the jugular on that one.
Ouch.
My opinion on that one is like, I like I said, I've had a lot of shit going on myself. Like I haven't had a chance to dig into some of the new releases, but I'm actually watching the playthrough video of it right now, and I'd play the hell out of it. It looks like you're flying around in drones, fucking shit up.
All right.
On top of that, the artwork itself is really cool. Like the artwork itself is like almost like I would like to say almost like a Borderland-esque, but just more anthemish at the same point in time. But it looks really cool. Looks like you're flying around in some drones and just like going through a junkyard, which is, you know, like
So you're flying around on what they call a grav cycle, because they've been
Yeah.
really open about what the mechanics are. So you're on what they call a grav cycle, and you have dogfighting style gameplay, and you have actual shooter stuff with drones and other snipers and things like that. And then you look down and you control your troops on the battlefield from your grav cycle. So you're literally like flying around the battle, like controlling your troops and moving them around the
Interesting.
battle.
okay, so it's
Yeah.
is it like a say like a Battlefront, but like say you had ships in it, like a Battlefront? It would be like a Battlefront, but you can control the ship from a first person point of view type deal.
Yeah, you're controlling the ship from first person, and then the troops down below. You're giving them
Right,
orders and
what
commands
is
and
that,
collecting
Halo?
resources.
Is that Halo Wars or Halo?
Halo Wars, right?
Yeah,
Raccoon doesn't look convinced. Raccoon does
Right.
not look convinced.
The artwork itself is enough to make me want to play it because it just looks rad.
It looks
Alright.
smooth. It looks
It
fun.
looks good visually, but the rest of it concerns me. I've seen.
Now
a bunch
here's
of really
here's
good-
the other thing. You know, you said you're attaching this guy's name to it, like to sell it, and you got to look at it from a certain point of view. I feel like myself just watching this, I haven't done a lot of digging into it, and then Pen Fighter explaining to it. I feel like there's more than one view that you got to be in charge of. I feel like there's multiple different things you got to be in charge of. On
Right.
top of that, and as a selling point, putting this guy's name on it or the company's name on it. THQ isn't a small company.
Well, no, this
It's-
isn't the THQ release. This is the V1 Interactive.
okay.
Brand new developer.
With that being said, though, it's smart to kind of put the name on there. I mean, look at all the, like we had the
Right.
conversation last week, like Bethesda, they put a game out and expect the community to fix it. I mean, at this point in time, it's people aren't going into it thinking it's AAA. I mean, it could be a good marketing ploy to get people to buy it and like, hey, make it better type deal. You know, it could be. I don't know though.
Sure.
To address Raccoon directly, real quick before we move on, I think what Leto is saying here is like you're hearing his name. He worked on Halo. It's a sci-fi shooter. Instantly, people are going to attach it to Halo, right? So he's asking people to set that aside and don't go into this expecting Halo, because if you're a Halo fan or a Mass Effect fan or an Elite Dangerous, if you're into these sci-fi things that are already established and out, and you're going in with the idea it's going to be like what you've played before, it's not going to be what you're expecting.
Do we have an exact quote?
That's the exact quote. I read it.
I'm looking at it right here, actually, on the
Yeah.
page.
Does it say anything about Halo?
No.
Anything at all
Just
related-
open your
concept?
mind as to first person shooters, because his name is
Because,
attached to
again,
Halo, right?
It's not trying to communicate that it's about Halo and his previous experiences. It's about first person shooters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He wants you to set aside your preconceived notions of what a first-person shooter is, because it's not going to be that. It's not
Alright.
going to be that.
Mm.
You know, like this game does look actually pretty cool. Like,
It looks so dope.
So, Disintegration out today.
So,
by
yeah,
the way.
tonight, midnight,
Tonight.
it releases. I'll
Midnight.
be all over this on my stream, guys, on Tuesday. We're gonna play it all day.
So moving through these new games lists, we have Descenders, mountain biking and procedurally generated worlds out tomorrow. That is what it is. You know, sports game,
yeah.
sports people doing sports things on mountain sports bikes. Cool. We have Dead by Daylight, Silent Hill.
We talked about that quite a bit. I don't
We
want to
did.
jump into it with the whole thing, but yes, Dead by Daylight's new update is hitting all consoles.
With Pyramid
This
Head being the evil one of sorts in the Dead by Daylight series
of sports.
of sorts.
So get ready for long
There's
killer
many
cubes.
evil
That's all I can
guys.
say. Get ready for long killer cubes. Everybody's gonna want to be Pyramid Head. So
Yeah. All right, here's an interesting one. Waking, coming out to PC and Xbox One. It's a Tiny Games game who made Hello Neighbor. It's combining third-person action and guided meditation. Waking is an emotional adventure through your dying mind.
That sounds incredible.
Sounds interesting.
it does.
Do you want some vegan salad with that and maybe some tofu?
What are
Oh.
you discussing? What are we discussing? Where are you throwing this at me?
But I mean, with a game like Waking and Tiny Games, their art style is always very unique, very eccentric, and we'll see how that looks in going inside of your mind through meditation or whatever. Anyway,
Is it like one of those Zen type of like see all the colors and the
probably.
like, outer space type thing? Maybe cool.
We'll see. I think it's available on the Steam store and on Xbox One. Finally, this Friday, releasing, finally, The Last of Us Part 2 on PS4. Which, I love The Last of Us. Last of Us is terrifying, horrifying, and it pulls at those heartstrings.
It do.
Grenade's just not interested. I can tell.
No, I am. I'm so interested. But I just so my watch alerts me when like stuff comes out on Reddit, and apparently Conan Exiles has a new thing coming out today too.
Do they? Wow.
Yeah, I was trying to look at it, but Last of Us, man.
Last of Us Part 2, man. That's where it's at.
My opinion on that is it's got to outshine the first one. It's kind of like, what can I relate that to? If they brought back the Gjallarhorn to Destiny, it better be better. Because
Right.
Last of Us is such an epic story, like how they ended it, how they did the whole, like the storytelling throughout the whole thing. Like the second one has to be good. Like it has to be good. Otherwise it can drag the whole series.
It's big shoes to fill, man.
It is.
Well, so far the pre-reviews that I've seen around the internet have very good things to say about it. We will see. I would like to dissect that game inside and out to hear on Tetrad for sure.
Does like, I'm not trying to dig into the spoilers or what got leaked, but did they say how much of the game got leaked, or was it the whole game, or just a little spot
I
in the
didn't
middle?
pay attention to any of that part of it. I just saw that there were very positive reviews to say about it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, wasn't paying attention to that. Anything else in gaming news you guys have? No? Going once,
good,
going twice. Sold. Next up, we got anime. In the world of anime, coming out on June 18th to Netflix, A Whisker Away, which I think is the same writer as the Your Name, I think. Maybe not, though. I'm not sure. But it looks really good. I'm very excited about it. Can't
the
wait.
art style reminds me so much of Studio Ghibli.
I was about to say, is Whisker Away a Studio Ghibli film? Like, was it Howl's Flying Castle and stuff like that? Is it the same artist, or
No, it just
is
feels
it?
like it's really similar with aesthetic wise, and the story concept seems actually interesting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. On a side note, I do a weekly kind of like book club with anime with some of my friends that I grew up with, and this is the anime that we are going to be reviewing next week on that. So I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be great. Also in the world of anime, just a few weeks away from the summer 2020 anime season, where we're going to be seeing a new season of Fire Force, Re:Zero, Sword Art Online, No Guns Life, and of course the Fate Grand Order movie. So I don't know when we're going to be able to see the Fate Grand Order movie here in the States, because it's going to come out in theaters in Japan.
Right here. Got a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now with Sword Art, are they going to kind of lead after the last season when he was in that
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you haven't watched the new season?
You wait. I know it's called Alcazion. It is the wrap up of that story, is what I know of.
So are they going to go with new people in the new season, do you think, or?
I think it'll continue on. Like, they split those Sword Art seasons into half. You know, the season 1 was Sword Art Online, and then they did the Fairyland. And anyway, I think
but they also did the little girl, the pink girl with the guns, and was it from the second season? I know they did that. Like, I was reading about it. It's kind of, and I feel like they might do his friend from in the show like another season. I don't think it's going to have a direct impact on the main characters of Sword Art. And then with No Guns, No Life.
I love No Guns Life.
I love it. It's such a good. It's like
so
dark
good.
and dingy noir style anime. Like, it's super good. Like, I dug that a lot. And it's like, if that guy had a face, he would have that big superhero chin wearing the tan coat. And then with Fate Grand Order, if anybody knows anything about Fate Grand Order, in order to keep up with the entire Fate series, you have to play the mobile game, because the Fate Grand Order is going to take place after the mobile game.
Interesting.
The movie. Yep.
That's so cool, though. That's what a way to combine different aspects of that series. It's huge, though. Anyone going into Fate Grand Order, Fate in general, has to start back.
It's the idea behind Fate is like you're saying. It's like the concept is cool, like the people through history and stuff like that. It's a really, really cool story.
It absolutely is.
So I think that's it in the world of anime this week. Next up, we got TV shows. Coming out this week in TV on tonight, we actually have a new Adult Swim animated cartoon, Tender Touches. It's on the likes of like Tim and Eric ridiculousness in animated form. So that's on Adult Swim tonight. You don't like Tim and Eric?
I fucking hated Tim and Eric.
I didn't get into that either. But you know, hey, maybe the second second go around, maybe it'd be better.
Raccoon, did you like Tim and Eric?
No.
Okay, fine. I'm alone on this one. I'm alone on this one. On Netflix on the 18th, just a few days away, we have The Order coming out, a secret wizard organization at a private high school, kind of like The Magicians, I guess. It looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I know that Netflix has been doing these kind of sci-fi fantasy ones with like Lock and Key. I think this is similar in that sort of sense. So The Order comes out on the 18th. This one caught my eye. Summer Camp Island coming out on the 18th on HBO Max. It's, I think, the 4th season of it. Basically, it's Adventure Time ripoff. Sure, but it looks pretty decent. Kind of geared toward a younger crowd, but I'll watch it. You know, you got kids, right? Grenade?
It looked kind of fun.
Everything you said reminded me of just an 80s Porky's movie. That's all.
Wow, that's probably not. So maybe not bring the family to.
Right, I'm gonna preview that one first.
Summer Camp Island should be decent for older kids.
Yeah.
It should be pretty cool. Coming out this Friday on Netflix, a new game show, The Floor is Lava. I just wanted to say that. It's a game show, but it's like props straight out of Legends of the Hidden Temple. It looks so cool.
I can't believe you brought that up, dude. You just dated all of us. I am done with this podcast. Like,
we're all so old.
Dude, wow, I can just remember that.
But I'm excited for it, dude. The Floor is Lava genuinely looks fun, guys. I wish we had a trailer for it. Actually, we should have pulled one up. This show actually does look like some genuine like 90s fun. So I'm super down for it.
Have all the neon colors, the really bright blues.
Was that one where they had to climb the metal mountain at the end of it? Do you guys remember that? They got slimed if they didn't. Like they'd send like ice and stuff down at them. Came on right after
I forget the name of that one. That was really fun. I like that one.
Yeah, Floor is Lava. Mm-hmm. That's the 19th, right? On
that is on Friday. And on Sunday, we have 2 premieres coming out on this Sunday. One on AMC, one on HBO. AMC is premiering season 2 of the horror, Christmas horror with Zachary Quinto, Nosferatu. NOS 4A2. That's how I say it.
Yeah, this is literally a NOS 4A2.
I am a big fan of season 1 of Nosferatu. It is suspenseful, it's scary and terrifying. Zachary Quinto is amazing in it.
Like we talking Are we talking about Nosferatu like the original vampire, like the black and white vampire, or are we talking like is it corny?
No, it's not corny.
Nosferatu is corny. The original vampire is corny.
Yo, you hush up. The original Monsterverse is a gem.
It's corny now, but it wasn't when it came out.
Not
like
at
that
the
was
time.
Like, at the time that was fun.
And of course, on Sunday on HBO, we've got Perry Mason. It's a new miniseries, 1910s World War I. A reporter investigates some murders. It looks really cool as like a 6-episode miniseries on HBO. So I just wanted to
from the original
throw that out there.
Or just like a off type deal.
I think it's just a standalone miniseries. So, yep. All right, in the world of movies, this is our main topic later tonight. We're going to go through these kind of fast. We've got Driven, an indie horror film where an Uber driver gets forced to drive around an exorcist in the middle of a poltergeist. That just sounds ridiculous. On Shudder, we have The Marshes, horror in the backwoods of Australia. The story of Swagman. That's out on Shudder Films tomorrow. What's up, Grenade?
It just sounds like you'd find something on Eric and Andre right there. The story of Swagman.
Swagman. Well, it makes sense if you say it with an Australian accent. Swagman.
Was that an Australian accent?
I don't know. I can't do accents. You know this. On Video on Demand on tomorrow, we have the new Aaron Paul thriller Tainted coming out. He gets caught up in a mob conspiracy. I love Aaron Paul, and I really enjoyed this season of Westworld. I'm excited about that one. Scare Package, another Shudder Films, coming out on the 18th. 7 directors make a mashup of 7 different stories in a full anthology, which should be pretty cool.
Hold on, bud. Turn up Raccoon a little bit.
I can't. She's got to turn it up herself.
I turned myself up quite a bit, so hopefully it's a little bit better for you guys.
Yep, that should be better. And then what else do we have? Video on demand rental. Some big budget movies coming out, which we would have seen in theaters, maybe, depending on how we veer in tonight's main topic or not. I Am Vengeance, Retaliation, big budget movie. The bad guy was this guy's friend and betrayed him in this military mission, and of course the main character wants vengeance. So that's coming out on Friday on video on demand. Mr. Jones, also on video on demand, big budget World War II Russian spy film to steal Stalin's gold based on a true story.
That one looks pretty dope, not gonna lie.
It does look pretty dope. And let's see, what else do we have? Wasp Network on Netflix on Friday. Cuba 1990s to stop a terrorist attack with Penelope Cruz. And finally, another horror movie on Friday. Jason Blumhouse. A horror where a family moves to a haunted house. Haunted by supernatural events featuring Kevin Bacon. You should have left. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum.
Sounds interesting.
You should have left. Kevin Bacon, though, I mean...
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, exactly, Raccoon. I agree. Anything with Kevin Bacon, I'm down.
Good actor in general.
I
not just
like him, but a horror movie? I mean, I take it back. That series he did was really good. What was that?
I mean, it's Jason Blum.
Yeah.
It should be pretty good.
It's like legitimately one of the best series out there. So good.
So, in the world of comic books, we've got... I know that Grenade's really excited about this comic. Kate's Venom, the 25th episode of Kate's Venom coming out in comics.
So on this one, super cool. If anybody hasn't been following it, like or talks to me about it, like I love the Donny Cates and Mark Bagley Venom. Right, this is where they introduced Null. This is where they introduced the Dark Sword, where the symbiotes came from. Like I said, he's the one who redid Thanos' story, and it was amazing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have hired him to do one of their pinnacle characters. He's stuck on an island with Null, and I really don't want to give out too much, but if anybody knows who Null is, he's the creator of all the symbiotes. Super powerful, super strong, godlike. Check it out. Learn how Venom fights Null. It's super good. I cannot stress reading the new Venom, and it's a one-off from Lethal Protector, or it's not a one-off, like a side by side, I guess. So check it out.
Quick question for you there with Grenade on that. Is it going to be something you need to read like past issues to actually understand, or is someone going to?
Yes. So with Venom, how Bagley and Cates have been doing it is actually super rad, because how comic books work, they work like seasons, like they used to, right? This one, every 5 issues is a story. He cuts it off pretty quick. So that way you can pick up 5 issues for $1.50, because the first issue, this series only started less than a year ago, right? And the first issue is the variant cover for it is going for $150. That's how good the story is, and people are trying to get back issues. The new season, or 25, which is like the reason why I'm so into it, is it's such a big story. The 25 is a story in its own. Like, you just got to understand he got to the island with Null, but otherwise it's a story itself. It's already got 6 variants for it coming out, and it just got released on Thursday. So that's how popular Cates and Bagley are doing with Venom.
Well, that's awesome. I've read into some of the stuff about that recently with regards to all the different symbiotes they've added. It's pretty legit.
And they bring it up. They bring a lot of that up. So it's like,
if you're bringing Null in there, you've got to have all the other symbiotes and how they connect and weave that whole the whole symbiote story.
No, but with this one, it's more of a, like, because I actually, the guy yelled at me, by the way, because I got stuck. I got hooked like instantly. The first 3 pages. It's kind of a lead in, like I would say, like a movie series type into an actual story itself, like another movie itself. So you don't really know too much about what's happening prior. Like, you could get off just fine by knowing that he got onto the island with Null. So
awesome.
And then that whole story itself.
Seems interesting.
So everything else in the world of comics, Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, issue number 8, coming out this week, which I believe that's based off of the Netflix series Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. Triage Volume 1 TP. That's coming out. I'm not sure what TP stands for. What does that stand
Trade paperback
for?
series.
Trade paperback.
Yeah,
Okay.
that whole run for Triage is now getting a trade paperback. Makes it easier to buy.
That's great. The Joker 80th Anniversary 100-page super spectacular #1. That's also coming out this week. Witchblade Volume 3 trade paperback. And for those of you who are watching the Snowpiercer show on TV, well, there is the comic book for it as well. Snowpiercer Volume 1, The Escape trade paperback coming out as well. And finally, drumroll please, Rick and Morty Go to Hell #1.
Super stoked. Hell yeah.
Super stoked.
Rick and Morty fucking comic book, dude, where they like the cover. Again, I should have brought an image file. The cover is literally like Rick and Morty like in the devil's hand. And like Rick looks fucking pissed. And Morty is of course getting owned by something in the face, like as he does.
Why is that not surprising at all?
This is one of those ones I have to read before I make a pass judgment, because one thing that makes Rick and Morty so good is the almost the impromptu feel it has, and writing a comic about it. That you don't get that impromptu feeling. So I kind of hope they pull it off in comic
they write
form.
well.
Yeah.
I haven't. So we'll
What
find
do you got,
out.
Raccoon? What were you saying?
Oh, I'm just saying, I'm sure it's going to turn out pretty well. They tend to make good content with Rick and Morty in general, except for that last episode.
That's not how you felt at the end of the season.
Yeah, not the last episode of last season. Like I said, that is the one exception so far that I've seen.
I do not support this.
I feel like tonight I'm stoked because I'm not the bad guy.
You're not the bad guy tonight.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like in the chat there. It's like, I'm done with you. And I'm like, okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's like, I'll call them out. I'm down.
So I know we're getting a lot of like questions and stuff in chat. Penn, you want to tell them about our Q&A stuff?
Yes, the Q&A stuff. So here at the end of the episode, obviously, we're going to have our Q&A segment. You guys could jump in, ask your questions. We'll obviously respond. We're going to try to do a little bit better about making sure we read them out for you guys so that later on, when you guys are listening to this on Discord, listening to this on SoundCloud, iTunes, whatever you're on, that you actually get a better semblance of the question so you know what we're answering and that kind of thing. So we're trying to do a little bit better for you guys, but it's still going to be here at the end. So if you have really great questions, you can hang off and ask them at that time. It'll be the best time to do it, so we don't have to sift back through and try to find them. So just kind of hang on to some of those burning questions that you have for now. Anything that we talked about in this episode or anything related to the geekdom, bring it to us, man. We're here.
Nice. So looking forward to those questions at the end of the episode, last 10, 15 minutes. Should be a lot of fun. We love interacting with you guys in chat, and we're so happy to be here. So let's get into it. Some reviews this week of everything that we played. I know we talked a little bit about it at the beginning of some of the stuff we played, but here's some of the games that we had full hands on and dug deep in. So let's start with you, Raccoon. What game are you reviewing this week?
So I brought it up a little bit ago. It was the Phantasy Star Online 2. Released on PC. It just released on April 15th of 2020. So, well, nope, May 27th for PC. Sorry, guys. As you can see, covering up my face there. I'm playing some of this just basic boss battle here, nothing too intense. One of the things I did show off here is the difference in combat styles. The game has plenty of different class types, anything from Hunter, Fighter, Ranger, Gunner, Force, Techer, Braver, Bouncer, Summoner. And each one of those has between 3 to 4 weapon types themselves. It gives you many different options, combinations you can choose that you can roll through each time. 4 different races, bunch of customization, always available to you in the game, and you can change that at any point. So with the PC release, though, we did have a big issue that came out right at the start. First off, it doesn't support 4K. The Xbox One release for the Xbox Series X, or not Series X, excuse me, the Xbox One X itself does support 4K. So the PC release is using what seems to be an incredibly old launcher, and the only way to actually get it into 4K is going into the settings, messing with some of the actual like Notepad document files itself, which is incredibly like depressing. Like they have an entire section, entire launcher piece designed to work with editing your resolution and such before you even get into the game. And then that doesn't always align properly as well. Like one of the first things I ran into is I used 2 different desktops, desktop 1, desktop 2. Tried to assign it to desktop 1, it jumped on desktop 2. I had to switch it to assign to desktop 2 to go to actually desktop 1. So bugs are there, which you would imagine wouldn't be such a big issue with the PC release after it's been out for so long already in Japan. As for the actual quality of play, the gameplay is fantastic. The fact that it's cross-save, cross-play, the porting in my character was super simple. There was no real issues with that. Super smooth with regards to texture. Combat never felt laggy. Game's content in general, just it's awesome amounts. And, you know, the game's been out for so many years now that you have 3 episodes, and you know you have at least another 2 more that have been released in Japan and will eventually come over here. So that's pretty exciting. I just got my ass kicked right there, guys.
Yeah. So tell us about this event here that we're watching. Is this like a world event, like a bunch of people in an MMO style are jumping in to fight a world boss, or are you fighting a story mission boss? Like,
story mission. So what you're
Just a
seeing
story
here, what you're seeing here is the later story mission at the end of episode 3. In fact, it's the actual last boss of episode 3. So sorry for the spoilers, guys. This is a character that's been part of the main story throughout. What you're seeing whenever I have any sort of like additional combat compatriots, as it were, those are your regular NPCs, which you can choose at the beginning of
so like your companions, basically.
the different companions available to you. So
Okay.
that's always an option as well. They give you different ones you can unlock over time, different skills. You can level them up individually so that you can have different play styles and setups to work with your different class types, because you can change that at any time as well, just at the main base at the very least. So with regards to the game port, I think they are doing a good job, but it's definitely not a perfect adjustment. They really need to get on the ball with this and get it updated so that it's actually at a good state for people to play on PC. Instead
Like I get that it's an older game, like it's going to be ported over, but when I tried to install it, I was having severe difficulty trying to even get it launched. So
exactly.
I really wanted to dive in and play it myself, but I couldn't.
Yeah, the PC launch has been incredibly devastating with regards to the community who have been excited for this for 8 years. I mean, that's
long.
a long time.
That's a long time to wait for something that doesn't come out polished. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It feels like they just ported the launcher from the Japanese version and didn't even try to fix it. Really, they just edited the text. So that's really sad.
So 1 to 5 raccoons. How many raccoons do you give Phantasy Star Online 2?
For the PC edition, I give it a solid 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Version, I'll give a 4.
All right. Because you have an Xbox, so you can play it on either or, right?
Absolutely.
Now, is it cross save between the two?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. It's cross save, cross play, so you can join your friends on Xbox as well.
At least that's
Eventually,
happening.
it's
That's
That's
great.
set to release on PS4 as well in the future. We just haven't quite got there yet.
All right. Cool.
Given the option, Fantasy Star in front of you, 1 and 2,
Yeah.
which one would you play? Which one would you
Phantasy
grab
Star
first?
2. Phantasy
Okay.
Star Online 2. It just has such a better story. It has so much content available to you.
Story's better because I remember the original. I haven't played 2, but I remember the original
Oh, it's so good, sir. It is so good.
on my Sega Dreamcast.
You have no idea. So one of the big things that I noticed with regards to the actual story in number 2 is it incredibly increased the amount out there. So anything from the episode 1 takes a good week, even if you're playing it every single day. And I put in about 4 to 6 hours every single day to actually get through that first episode. Episode 2 as much, and then episode 3 is a little bit more contained, but they're larger actual battle missions instead of just being a bunch of story on top of each other.
Sure.
And then I know when you come to number 4 and 5, because I played the Japanese version, I used to spend about 4 hours a day trying to get into the Japanese version on my PS4 like 2 years ago.
What do you mean? Just like connecting to it?
Connecting to it, because you had to go through all of these different proxies and VPNs to actually
my
make
goodness.
it happen. I mean, I put in that much time to enjoy the game, and it was worth it. It was worth it. And a lot of that is because of episodes 4 and 5, which haven't come out yet, and I'm very, very excited to see what they do with that. The
Awesome.
English
We
voice
have an
acting,
excited
that's
raccoon. I
interesting
like
too.
it.
That's great. So 3 out of 5 raccoons on Phantasy Star Online 2. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nothing I can think of really. I mean,
All right.
test the game, enjoy it if you do. If not, wait for episodes 4 and 5, and then try it again. You might actually find yourself loving it.
And like we said earlier, Phantasy Star Online 2 is available on Xbox and PC through the Xbox beta app, I think, using the Xbox Game Pass. So you can pick up an Xbox Game Pass for like $1, super easy, for at least the first month. I know I've done like the $1 thing like 5 times now, so I don't know.
I like it. I like it, Clean.
I got it covered.
So this week, I reviewed the new Steam release game. It's been on Epic Game Store for a while, but I have officially reviewed this week Satisfactory. So Satisfactory is kind of a factory building simulator type game that you mine resources, you build stuff, and then you try to get your efficiency level up on converting those resources into other resources to build more stuff. So you get miners, you get iron, you get limestone, you convert that, you have to power up your stuff, you build conveyor belts. It is a factory simulator, basically Factorio in first person. So as I was playing this, it started out really easy, really like basic, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna build this, I'm gonna do that, and it just kept getting more and more and more complex, where I've got stacks on top of stacks and conveyor belts going over other conveyor belts, and like resources splitting off into multiple areas, and this resource goes here and that resource goes there. Anyway, I had a whole ton of fun with this game. If you get a chance to pick it up, I think it's on sale on Steam right now. It is freaking awesome if you enjoy resource management. I'm not sure. Who is the developer?
This looks right up my alley. This looks super good. I'm just like really curious. The developer and I can look it up too. Developer and publisher on this one. You know me, guys. I like
Coffee Sane Studios is a
Coffee
Swedish
Sane?
game developer. Yeah. Goat Simulator, Satisfactory. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
It has to be good. Has to be good.
It was so much fun. Like, as soon as I finished the tutorial, I was like, oh hey, look, the game's kind of done. Okay, this is easy. And then I looked at like what else I can build. I'm like, oh no, this is not done. I must continue building, and then and then just started spreading out everywhere.
Is there a collection aspect to it, like a la Minecraft or something like that, where you have to go collect the resources to build your stuff?
So most of the collection was automated after you get to a certain point, where at first you have to go pick up the iron, go pick up the limestone, go pick up the copper.
Okay.
But then you can put auto miners on it, which then you have to go pick up the resources from the auto miner, and then you can put a big miner that you have to power up on it, and then build a conveyor belt out of that miner, and it's automated. The thing that you really have to collect is the resources for your biogenerators, right, to power up everything. So I ran around for like 20 minutes just picking up leaves and wood and everything else, and there's enemies, there's monsters everywhere, and so you have this like little taser thing that you have to get the monsters with so you don't die, and it was really fun, and I can't wait to keep diving deeper into it. Like, there was 8 levels of upgrades that you can get, and for each level there was like another 4 milestones you had to get to the next level. I mean, I mine Bitcoin in real life, and I feel like I was mining Bitcoin in a game. It's all about that efficiency, baby.
That looks really dope, man.
It was a really dope game.
That's right up my alley. Like, is it something? So does it get so complicated to the point where I'm gonna be like Eve and I've got a spreadsheet? Because I used to do like the planetary resource mining, right? So I had like 20 different things going on, and my brain's like, I could do 2 once, maybe. So if I'm lucky, so I had to spreadsheet everything. Is this like a spreadsheet time?
Yeah. Where it's like, okay, this storage container is here and is splitting off resources to this storage container and this storage container, and then converting this resource to this resource, which then puts those 2 resources together and makes it into this resource. You'll want a spreadsheet for sure.
I want a spreadsheet.
That's a lot.
It's so much fun.
I want this in my life.
I'm excited to try it, but I feel like I'm gonna freaking end up feeling like I'm in math class by the time I'm done with it.
It starts
Math
you out
class is
really
fun.
easy, though. It starts you out really easy, where it explains everything up front, like, here's how you do this, here's how you do that, and then it really builds on itself well. They don't just throw everything at you. So, it was a good game. It's a good game.
I'd be willing to try it.
So, Pen Fighter, leading into kind of our main subject of the night before we get to
Right.
that. I think 3 of us watched a movie this week. Do you want to
I'm
go
gonna
into
ask
that?
questions.
Yeah, so we watched The King of Staten Island. Yeah, this is a film, guys, that again, if we were actually able to go to movie theaters, there'd probably be a little bit more out about it and what's going on. But the way the marketing worked and everything was a little bit different. But yeah, so this is a Judd Apatow film.
I
We
love
have
Judd
Judd Apatow
Apatow.
fans in the house, maybe just a couple.
I love him. I love anything Judd Apatow does.
I feel like that's that creaky sound of like, oof. Yeah.
Oof,
Yep.
the creaky sound. Yeah, so
Kind
King
of-
of Staten Island is a film. So it was directed by Judd Apatow. Apatow Productions is totally behind everything to do with it as far as getting it produced and created. The screenplay was written by Judd Apatow and Dave Serious, who he's worked with before, but also Pete Davidson, who stars in the main role. So this film, just a quick rundown on what it actually is it's a movie that's like 75% or so based on Pete Davidson's actual life. And of course, when we talk about Pete Davidson, we're talking about the guy from Saturday Night Live. You guys are correct. That's who we're referring to. The kind of like king of dry comedy on Saturday Night Live right now. But anyway, so this is like his father. To give a couple of the story beats, his father was a firefighter who was killed, and the main character in this movie is dealing with that past and living up to having a great man like that, a hero as a father. But then it just kind of goes. He's got his collection of friends. We'll get into the cast and other details later. But as far as those story beats go, it feels like a piece by piece story as you go through this period of the character's life. Try not to spoil or anything. It's really hard to dance around the spoilers, but it feels like he has a series of triumphs and some failures, and it's kind of like a day in the life of a person instead of like Captain America or the characters from like Glass, right? That film that
Totally.
came out recently. It's instead of being something larger than life, this is a dude that you could run into at Target, right? And there was something to me that I found very, very calming, relaxing, and interesting about watching a story like that instead of having world-ending stakes, in all the content that I'm consuming. So it was really nice to have this really down-to-earth, average people going through a story that feels familiar. For me, that was something that I haven't seen in a while, something I feel like we're missing out on in a lot of the movies that we're watching now. So I don't know. I didn't go into it expecting to be blown away. And the fact that I wasn't was great. I actually was like, oh, that was great. I just had a good time watching a film.
Totally. I had a great time watching this. I'm a big fan of Pete Davidson already, and his dry, self-deprecating humor that came across really well in the film, I thought, where it's like one of the opening lines of the movie is like his friends making fun of him for his dad dying in a fire. And it's
Right.
that self-deprecating humor that goes throughout the movie that kind of leads his character into some of the situations that he gets in. I have actually a lot of notes that I took on the movie.
Yes, you do.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Some of the choices he makes in it, though, are just a little out there, man. Like,
A little bit.
I don't want to give away too much, but what happened to that kid leading to his mom dating one of the characters, it's like some of the choices that he makes, I think led him to his overall redemption at the end. And I really appreciated that he had no redeeming qualities really throughout the entire movie until you get to the end of the film. And I really liked feeling for him throughout the movie.
Went into this movie because I don't like the actor. Forgot his name already.
Pete
Pete
Davidson.
Davidson.
Pete Davidson. Never.
Pete Davidson. Brought to you by Pete Davidson.
Right. Never been a fan of him. Like I said, with the old SNL crew, I've always been like a Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, like that.
Oh
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
talked about the slapstick
I feel
comedy,
you.
but like his, I know dark humor. Like people in the military know that dark humor, but I really went into this movie wanting to hate it because I just didn't like him as an actor. Halfway through it, I'm like, oh, this shit ain't so bad. At the end of it, it's like, ah, that was a great movie. Like so how Penn described it to us when we first were talking about what we were going to review and how we're going to look at it was a series of little feats occurring to like kind of like accruing to real life, like how real life works. And it's like I don't want to fucking watch a movie where I'm reminded about how my life can be shitty at the same point in time, you know, like but going into it, realizing all the stuff that happened, like it turned out to be a phenomenal fucking movie. Like I get into Penn's chat right after I watch is like, dude, I hated the fucking end. He's like, well, you know, he starts going off and like, you know, from a writer's point of view and stuff like that. I was like, I just wanted more. I just wanted more. I wanted to see where his life really went. Like that's like that movie. It actually hit home. Like
It does.
Right.
you know,
I like how you said that.
it calms your mallow, man. It kind of brings you down going, you know, shit isn't so bad, just one step at a time type deal, you know. It's like it ended up being a really good movie. I enjoyed the shit out of it.
That goes to say like Judd Apatow's writing that he puts into it, where it's like some of these subjects are really hard to watch and write about and see on screen, but I mean they hit home and hit your heart in a way that it's like, oh my god, I feel for this, I feel for it.
Right, and
So,
then
on that
ahead.
point, real quick here, what's some of the other Judd Apatow movies that are very popular or that people know of? Because that's a name that I'm not currently familiar with very often.
40-Year-Old Virgin, the TV show on Netflix, Love, that had the chick from Community and one of the other guys who was the writer of the TV show as well. He does a lot of these kind of slice of life ish movies about relationships.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
one of his calling cards is with the writing is the script is loose, is the way to put it. He doesn't always come at you with a 300-page screenplay and go, here we go, here's all your dialogue. You're going to read this line for line. He gives the actors room for improvisation. So like there'll be this is the scene. Sometimes it's as little when you actually his you could find some of his scripts online right now. You can pull them up and download them. Sometimes it's as little as here's the setting, here's the characters that are there, here's the mood of the scene. Have
Make
fun.
what will. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
with that
great.
being said, it kind of shows like how grounded in reality his writing really is, going from like the 40-Year-Old Virgin and stuff like that.
An
Like
Anchorman, right?
yeah, you know, it blows you away because like I didn't recognize the name before, so I looked it up after I watched it, and I was like, "Wow, man!" And that
It's
also
done a
just
lot.
goes to show. That also just goes to show you too that some of the best acting can come from comedians, like on a
Right.
serious side of things. You know, like
Yeah.
you had Robin
Mhm.
Williams, a 1 hour photo, man. He was creepy. You had Jim Carrey in was it 47, 37 or something like that? What was the name of that movie where he was like going through time in a time loop? Or 7, might have been 7. It was just a number. He was like slowly going crazy. But like I said, it just shows you how a comedian can be a great serious actor. Now, with that
22.
being 22, thank you. Thank you.
22.
He was yes. With that being said, Penn, I'm taking an option right here, an introduction. How do you think that movie would have held up if it got released next to a big name movie?
Yeah, so I mean, are we ready? Real quick before we jump into our big topic, I want to answer your question. That's our big topic. We'll jump into it. Let's give out our ratings because I'm going to go ahead and give this movie 5 pens out of the possible 5 pens.
Pens.
And you got the full protector pack, the full pocket protector full of pens for this movie.
I give it a 4.5 Koways out of 5 Koways.
It's because Steve Buscemi's in it, so it gets the extra 0.5.
No.
Okay, all right.
Steve Buscemi can carry a role even if it is 5 minutes.
Grenade, what do you give this one?
You know, like I said, I wanted to hate it. I really wanted to hate it. I really wanted to hate it, but I didn't. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 grenades. Just simple fact that I kind of wanted to see where he went with his life. And that was the only reason. The only thing that I saw that complete. I wanted more. Yeah, to feel complete. Exactly. I felt okay. I didn't feel complete.
let me ask you guys this. One of the big things you notice with bigger movies and such like that is you always walk away feeling either stunned or excited and happy. Do you feel movies like this don't give you that sort of emotional response that people are looking for in more difficult times? And maybe that's why people don't look into these
I
movies
th-
as much?
I think it does.
That's a good question.
Because
That's a real
at the
good
end of
question.
the film, you're led to wonder what led him up to these and what caused his change, and it makes you like ask yourself, like, what am I doing that I can change, and in the relationships in my life, like it leads you, it gives you almost like a question in your mind, and that's why I appreciated they left it the way that they did, is because they didn't wrap it up, and it makes you wonder about what the rest of his decisions that he's going to make will lead him to, and so I know, Grenade, you wanted the wrap up. I felt like that was the perfect ending to it,
Yeah, I mean,
because it leaves
what I would say,
it with a
Raccoon,
question in your mind.
Yeah, so you have the question in mind, but what I would, not every movie has to be escapist. I think,
No.
Raccoon. I mean, at this time, I get what you're saying though. Like with the COVID and everybody's cooped up,
Everything else.
and the riots and everything that's going on, we don't want to necessarily dwell too much on our
Our
own
own.
reality. We don't really want to be introspective right now. We've done plenty of that over months now. We've been introspective all year already, right? So, do we want to continue introspecting, or do we want to go out and see a big popcorn film and turn our brains to mush and not worry about it, just escape from reality? I mean, maybe, but at the same time, like I said earlier, during when I was giving my notes, I felt like I've been doing that escapism this year as well, and I haven't really had an introspective film that I enjoyed that was also funny and entertaining, and I could put myself in that character's shoes. Like I just hadn't had that experience this year.
And another thing too is like there's only one other person I could think could pull it off, like that Southie Boston angry tough guy. And the only
Right.
person I could say that's like good at it would be Mark Wahlberg. But Bill Burr did a fantastic job at it.
Oh yeah, Bill
He did
Burr.
he did a great job at that. And like I kind of felt a little intimidated by that short bald dude. Like he was an angry individual sometimes in that movie.
Yeah, he was
but
good at Breaking Bad, right? Doing that
Yeah.
same kind of thing, right? Like
Exactly.
anytime he showed up in Breaking Bad, it's like, fuck yeah, Bill Burr's back in it. Like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, like you brought it up just right. It didn't necessarily need to be one of those things where I wanted to envision myself throwing a shield at some big dude's head. You're like sitting there watching the movie for a different aspect on real life. You know what I mean? Like you
Yep.
kind of got that, shit ain't so bad type deal.
Shit
Like
ain't so bad. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's gonna go ahead and like Clink was segueing us nice and cleanly into our topic about the film industry, the box office, the big budget tentpole films, and what this all means right now, especially with COVID going on. We have a huge topic to unpack for you guys regarding this, and to answer the question, Clink, regarding whether or not this would have done well in theaters. I think if we look back at the top movies at the worldwide box office, the answer is no. I mean, it's movies like this. They're not things that people are going out and seeing. It's just not, historically. It's not. So let me set up the topic. Let me give you guys some details. I did some research. I'm really excited because I'm a dork. I did some research. So I looked up the last few years of movies. Right, just like I wanted to see what's going on at the box office. How are we as moviegoers and nerds? How are we consuming our content? So I took a look at this. So let's look at last year. The number one movie, of course, was Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So worldwide box office numbers for Avengers Endgame were $2.8 billion.
A lot of money.
$2.8 billion, right? So domestically, 858. Right? That's a lot of money. That's a ton of
858
money.
million domestically is what it made.
Domestically, 858 million. So this was popular absolutely everywhere where there's screens. If there was a screen, they put Avengers Endgame on it. It showed in almost 6,000 movie theaters in the United States. No other movie has ever done that. So it showed in a ton. The
Did they
next
even
highest. Go ahead.
Sorry, didn't they even have like a thing? Like if you were gonna air the movie, you had to have like a minimum of 6-month runtime on it or something like that.
Something like that. It was.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the deets on that, but it ran forever too, and that's what kind of drove it up. So when you go from the first, you're looking at the first 10 films, right? The disparity is immediate. So you go from Avengers Endgame, and there's a whole other topic here, to Lion King, which did over $1 billion less on the second
Wow.
film, right? Worldwide, right? So by the time you get down to The 10th film, you are literally $2 billion lower than the number one film for last year, right? So last year was like the biggest example of the disparity between the number one, like this is the film everybody's going to go see, this massive tentpole film. Everything else that starts coming up in there almost failed or did fail, depending on its budget, right? Like its skeleton numbers, it's not good at all. You go back to 2018, Avengers Infinity War, the first one, that did 2 billion. Okay, so not 2.8, but it did 2. It's a similar kind of story. But this is where the topic comes in. So I took us back to 1999. Right, 1999. Can any of you think of a movie from 99 real quick? Just like pop one off that you
Star
think's
Wars
the top
Episode
box
1,
office.
Phantom Menace.
Yes, Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. That's actually the number one film. What else came out? Raccoon?
I can't think of a 1999 movie. I'm so
Grenade?
sorry.
1999?
I can't even remember 2 weeks ago, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Was the Matrix
blinking.
99 or 2000?
That
So
was
Matrix was 99.
Okay.
What?
I was gonna say,
All
yeah,
right.
Yeah, so let me read you off this list of movies. Everybody in the chat, everybody listen to this later. You guys are going to recognize every single movie in here, most likely. There might be one you don't. But so number one movie for 1999 was Star Wars Episode 1, right? Star
Okay.
Wars Episode 1. Domestic gross, adjusted for inflation, $430 million.
Compared to what the number one movies are making today.
838. So,
So
yeah,
you're-
wow.
So what you're saying is, if that were to release right now, it'd still be like, it would be $431 million next to the 2.8 billion that Avengers did. Is that
Yeah,
what you're-
that's what it
wow,
actually
geez.
sold when it came out, right? So it also was on half the screens. There's a whole topic we're going to get into. Let me finish reading these off so we can get to this main point here. There's the second film for the year was The Sixth Sense,
Okay.
right? Everybody remembers that movie, right?
M.
So
Night
adjusted for inflation-
Shyamalama Ding Dong.
adjusted for inflation, that does really well. That does like 400 million. It's right up there with
Okay.
Phantom Menace almost, right? So then we have Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. That came out in 1999.
Wait, that
How
was
dare you
number
break it.
that was ranked number
Three.
3?
Three. That
like-
was
How
the
dare you
third.
break one before me?
You
How
wouldn't
dare you
you wouldn't see Anchorman on a top list of movies today at all.
Anchorman didn't really do that well when it came out.
Well, I know,
Austin
but
Powers, yeah.
I'm thinking of like a comedy movie, like a comedy staple, right? That's not even that much of a staple. Sure, you quote it all the time, but I mean that
Yeah,
wouldn't do
so-
that well today at all.
I think that's
This
Hold
list, this list is a whole bunch of surprises, guys. Let me finish this list. It's going to blow your mind. The number 4 movie. This was number 4. It wasn't number 1. Was Toy Story 2. That came out in 99. The Matrix came out. That was 5th. Tarzan 6th. Right. Big Daddy was number 7. Big Daddy. Like how many years has it been since anybody seen Big Daddy? Right.
Dude, not too long ago. I love that movie.
It's a good movie. I agree.
Dude.
Four
like 4
years.
For Raccoon. So number 8 was The Mummy. Right. The Mummy.
Brendan Fraser's The Mummy?
Fraser,
So good.
The Mummy, dude. Yeah, dude. Number 9,
Yeah.
Runaway Bride. Number 10, The Blair Witch Project. So the point is, from the number 1 to the number 10 movie, the disparity, again adjusted for inflation, is $120 million.
That's it.
That's it between the two. Wow.
Mhm. That's it. So the way that we consume movies has changed. I went back to 1979. It's almost the exact same deal. I'm not going to list off every single movie from 1979, but just kind of looking at 1979, it was almost the exact same deal. That was the year Star Trek Motion Picture came out, and some other good movies that kind of set the tone for cinema moving forward. They're kind of
question,
the same
Pen?
deal. There's not a lot of disparity.
Did they do like an adjust for inflation for the original Star Wars movies versus what the Star Wars movies did now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we were talking about that before the stream. I was talking about with Clink. They actually did. So when you adjust Star Wars: A New Hope, this is just an interesting fact. I don't want to get into the Star Wars debate today, but when you adjust A New Hope for inflation and put it up against Force Awakens, it destroys Force Awakens.
Of course it
Really?
does. Of course it does.
It does. Mhm.
Good.
But does it
Fuck yeah.
destroy?
Yes, this is going to be an argument for another time, though. Let's leave this.
Wait,
Yeah,
Raccoon,
you're
what were you
gonna
gonna
get
say? You cut off there.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, I
you
said
cut
does
out.
it destroy Return of the Sith? That's the question.
Yes, Revenge of the Sith
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yes,
it annihilates all of it.
How
Wow.
not? Oh god.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this another
We'll
time.
get into Star Wars later. So here's the topic, guys. Here's what I want to open up the floor to on you guys, as far as so there's a couple things to unpack. So we have the way that we're consuming has changed. Instead of going to a movie theater and, honey, what do we want to watch? Oh, that poster looks dope. Oh, Back to the Future. That sounds pretty fucking cool. Let's go watch that. Now it's this comes out this day, this comes out this day. It's on my calendar on the fridge. We're gonna go see Captain America: Winter Soldier. We're gonna go see Thor 2. We're gonna go see Frozen 2. Right? Those are. It's a calendar. It's a planned event. It's a big deal. We're going in. The casual going in to watch has ended. That's the first thing to unpack. The second thing to unpack is this fact that we have movies that are doing so well, but then making everything else smaller. Is that good for the industry, or is this bad?
My honest opinion on that is I don't think that's actually the case. Like, yeah, you look at what's going on, right? Like, movie theaters have gone up in prices because obviously movie theaters are getting bigger. To take a family out, you got 5 people. Like, when we take 5 people out to go to the movies, even with 2 kids, it's over $100 for everything. Like,
Oh, Jesus,
back
yeah.
back then it used to be a lot cheaper. So people with families who do go to see the movies, you actually have to plan out your movies. Now, you're going to plan out to go see, say, The King of Staten Island with a family, or you're going to plan out to go see a Star Wars or
Frozen.
an Avengers movie, Frozen, yeah, right. But on that other, I'm not discounting the people that go solo at all, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to see the family going or a couple going, and it's so expensive. So I think the reason why it's doing so much better is for the fact that people are planning it out and they want more bang for their buck. You know what I mean?
Big events. These
Yeah.
movies are now big events.
Yeah.
It's culturally driven. So our entire culture responds to when the next Star Wars movie comes out, or the next Avengers, or DC. Never mind, forget DC. The next Marvel movie.
Bad guy. Bad guy.
I'm not going to go into that. But I think Grenade has a point, though. And the cost has changed. That being said, the reason why the costs changed is because the viewership has dropped. I think people are only coming and seeing these movies, and I'm sure there's some statistics out there somewhere that can actually give us the exact definition of this, because they are big budget. People are not going and seeing regular movies anymore because they can think, oh, I can just go watch that on Netflix a few months from now, or I can go watch that on Hulu, or I can rent that on my digital Google Play account in a few months. I don't have to worry about that.
Let's open that up, Raccoon. You said regular movie, and this is a
regular movie.
That's a great point, because like movies were movies, right? And now we have these tentpole event films, like you're talking about, which are like we have a different kind of film now in the movie theater.
Regular movies are like things like Liar Liar, things that don't have entire backstory involved in our collective
connected universe.
Well, even further than that, it doesn't even just go into the movies. Like, this is stuff that have been in our collective conscious for over 60 years now. Marvel has been a part of our parents, our grandparents, and our kids' lives. I mean, it's going to be there forever, and that's going to affect how we view these things, right? Same thing with Star Wars, same thing with Star Trek. These movies are going to constantly always be drawing in the crowds, because it's not just, oh, this is a giant movie set of movies that are great. Because Aliens doesn't get that. Aliens has a great history of movies, but it's still not even close to the level of Marvel or any of those, because it's still just a movie.
Well, I think if you're going to contrast or compare Aliens to it, like, that was a little bit before our generation. Like, those movies were coming out when we were young, like absolutely young. So if they would have kept like a good storyline, and a lot of it I do to Aliens, I feel like doing so well as the artist who designed the Aliens.
Well, Geiger,
Geiger's a fucking phenomenal artist.
Oh, he is. Yes,
but you bring up a very, very, very perfect point. The stuff that's popular now is so deep seated into our pop culture that it's entwined. You know, like Sonic did fucking fantastic after everybody bitched about it. You know, because that was popular when we were kids.
But going back to Aliens, right? That was Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So look at
that's
No. Ridley Scott did Alien.
Ridley Scott. Sorry.
James Cameron
Ridley
did
Scott.
Alien.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Anyway. Okay.
In 1979, by the way.
But look at that same director's movies that have come out now.
Ridley Scott.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they try to make it this tentpole event film, but it kind of falls flat compared to these, Marvel superhero movies, where you have like Interstellar or Prometheus or any of these that are in the same genre. both
Those are
great
great
movies, but
Right.
are people going to go out of their way to go to the theaters to see it if they have a full family, right?
No.
Versus
That's a good
if
question.
if I have like the AMC Movie Pass, which I'm not sure if AMC is even going to be around after this. You know, is because of the nature of the world we live in right now going to change even more how we watch movies from
Absolutely,
what it has been.
absolutely. I think
I
it's
think
already
so.
starting to, with how streaming services are putting out movies at a much quicker pace. I don't think things are going to go back to quite the same as they used to be with theaters.
I don't think
And
so either. Let's stick with Ridley Scott. Gladiator.
Sure.
Does that movie do well? If it comes out next year,
I
COVID's
see.
over.
Yo, I still think that would come out. I think that movie would do very well because like the story writing behind it was in depth. It was like
Yeah, but
super in depth.
that brings a point. So Hercules, the movie with freaking The Rock, right? He was the selling point, but it's also a great lineage story that everyone knows about and really interested
Right.
in.
Mhm.
But in the same point as Gladiator, not too many people are going to see it. People are going to
Yeah, I
watch it.
mean,
They're going to
yep.
like it. They're going to love it. And there's going to be the cult fanatics who really want to talk about how amazing it is. And of course, it can be.
But
Absolutely
it's
can
going to
be.
make its budget, you know?
But it's going to make its budget and it's
Mhm.
not going to jump from there.
Well,
Grenade muted himself.
Oh, goodness.
I feel like when you're comparing Hercules to say like Gladiator, like
Mhm.
I understand how you're saying it's deep bedded in history and culture and stuff like that, or it's just an in-depth story, I guess. With Gladiator, I feel like the reason why that does so well because the story was put together more realistic, more factual according to the characters. Whereas in Hercules, when you think of a rock movie, I don't think of a super, super serious movie. Like I love The Rock. I'm not saying
True.
he's
The
like,
branding's a little different.
Sure.
yeah, exactly. That's more of a I'm gonna kick ass and
Now-
chew bubble gum and I'm all out of gum type of movie, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And maybe that wasn't a good example. But there's
But I
many
get your
other
point, though,
examples out
right?
there.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though. I don't think the movie gets made because Gladiator at the time, pretty safe bet. You got Ridley Scott. You got Hans Zimmer doing the soundtrack, right? With Klaus Badelt. Like those guys, those names are huge now. Russell
Right.
Crowe was a name brand actor at the time. The
Yeah.
setting was great. But look at the money they spent on making Rome come to life for you. The battle scene at the beginning, for example, was huge. The budget for that's insane. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember a long time ago reading how insane it was. Studios don't take that kind of risk anymore.
I mean, why
They-
would you?
they put
because
it
you
on the
can't-
production company instead. Is what
Yeah.
happens.
It's hard to beat the Marvel films, so they're not even
Mhm.
trying anymore. They're making now these war films are smaller scope. They're smaller in size. So where those big battles are now on television, they're on
Yeah.
HBO, they're on Game of Thrones, they're
And I think the
Spartacus.
reason- and I
Right,
think
they're
that
mo-
the
they're
reason
moving
goes
there.
back to it's they're not making the money. Like they
But-
want to
yeah.
make more than just what budget they're putting into it, right? If
So
they put it in a series, they can stretch that out. They can spend a little bit less, use a little bit less effects. Same story, stretch it out, get people to buy longer.
Mhm.
that you're saying the less effects thing to me, like call me crazy. I was a fan of the 80s movies. I love 80s hero action movies. Like
Mhm.
the reason being is because you didn't see all the special effects. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Guyver, right? Like this
Yep.
dude
Oh,
is in
yeah.
a rubber
Oh, yeah.
suit,
Yeah,
and it looks
great
fucking trashy. But the movie itself was put together so well because people had more ingenuity back then, I think, besides just relying on CGI. But with all that said, these big budget movies that are coming out, with the movies that come up underneath it, do you think, knowing what you know now, like how we've taken a look at like how,
Mhm.
like the King of Staten Island, do you think you're willing to go for and see the other movie instead of the Marvel movie? Or are you still going to want to be there to wrap up this entire story that's been breeding for 10 plus years?
You go watch the Marvel movie.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I'm gonna go
Exactly.
watch
really what it's
Marvel.
gonna
It's-
come down to.
yeah, we're invested now. It's hard to beat.
Mhm.
I don't think. And also, we were just touching on it. Some of those names that we would have trusted for other films aren't doing them anymore, like the way they were. They're moving on to making videos for Netflix, or they're doing TV
Right.
shows. The
It-
creatives aren't. They're either going to Marvel or DC, or they're trying to make their own tent poles, or they're moving on. They're no longer doing
Right.
those huge giant films anymore. I mean, look what happened to Spielberg when he tried with Ready Player One. Right?
Which I love
Yo,
that movie.
That
Loved
movie
it.
was
Great
fucking
film.
phenomenal. But I
Great
think that
film,
movie
but it
appealed to
didn't do well.
us. I think that appealed to our generation more than anything else because it was all homages to. It was an Easter egg inside of an Easter egg inside
Oh,
of an
it
Easter
was
egg.
classic
You know,
filmmaking. The angles
exactly.
he shot stuff was for camera
Exactly.
nerds and
Exactly. It had like
Yeah.
the monster battles in it, the big monster movie type idea to it. And
But
with Netflix,
how did that
and
do in theaters? Is my
I
question.
honestly don't know.
I've got the stats. Let me pull up the stats.
Definitely didn't do as well as it should have, and that
What did it
was
go up
right
against
Yeah.
the weekend it released
So
first?
so it came out. What it was 2019, right? Or was it 2018?
I think it was 2019.
2019.
I'm not
I
even
didn't-
seeing it anywhere near the top 10. Ready Player
Yeah, it's not.
One.
It's not going to be.
Oh my gosh, I can't find it. Like it's below. It can't be 2019, right?
It could be 2018. I just don't think it's that far back.
I know the movie didn't do that well. Like,
I mean, it didn't. That's the thing, and it was.
Yeah, here it
a
is. So it
budget.
did domestic 137 million. Worldwide 579. It came in 12th overall.
So,
I mean, that's
and
one of
looking at
the-
the movies that it was up against, I mean, like you said earlier, the disparity between these big tentpole films versus even a Spielberg movie is
Right.
Yeah.
so over exaggerated. It's crazy.
Yeah.
right. And
The only
imagine.
way you get around. Go ahead, Nathan.
No, go finish.
Okay, so the only way you get around these situations is you be a movie director like James Cameron, where you make one movie every freaking 15 years, and
Well,
then
he made a tentpole.
yeah,
He did, which now
he-
Disney
he
picked
did.
up on
yes.
every other year now, from now on.
So,
Mhm.
so with regards to his big movies, though, we're talking Avatar, we're talking Titanic, we're talking Avatar 2. Whenever that does get released 15 years from now, people are going to watch it, and people are going to watch it in droves because he doesn't do this often. And whereas cases like M. Night Shyamalan, half of his movies are trash, and not just because they're not great, but because people aren't going and seeing them because he's made so many bad ones. He's made a lot of bad ones.
I agree.
That
I'm not
he's overdone the system, but again, that doesn't come to the point. The point
What's the point, Raccoon?
the point is, unless you're falling into one of these categories where you either have an extensive backing of followers and such that people will go and see your movie simply because your name's on it, or you fall into a category of this is a series that people are invested in and been invested in for years and years and years, and you have money to burn on this thing, like Disney does with Avengers and such, even from the very beginning. You're not going to do as well. And you're going to eventually see less and less of these movies, which is becoming more and more over the last few years, even in other type of places are trying to do the same thing. What Universal tried to do the Dark Universe, and it failed because, again, the interest has waned on that type of topic for many years. So
one, single-handedly, The Invisible Man is going to bring back the Dark Universe. Not the greatest movie, but it was a really good movie. What they did with Tom Cruise was garbage. That movie sucked. But The Invisible Man, I think, The Mummy itself was I feel like it was a bad movie. That concept is cool, but The Invisible Man, how they brought that one around, is actually a super good movie, and I feel like that one could hold down the monster universe. But like you're saying with that, I feel like what you're saying though, you're right, Raccoon, 100%. But on the same aspect, on the same side of it, you got Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus now, all this shit. Like, I don't think people look at like, all right, I'm going to go see a Jon Favreau film. You know, they're going to be like, oh, what's The Mandalorian? That seems like a good movie. Or when you think of Jon Favreau, you think of the angry linebacker from The Replacements. You know, like I don't think that they. It is another Jon Favreau film. I don't think they're looking at the directors, the writers anymore. I think they're looking at, is it a Marvel movie? Oh, the DC's okay.
Does it have a franchise? Is what they're asking now.
Does it have one? That's a good point.
The only thing that's going to hold up against those movies, I feel like, would be Avatar, like that can hold up against to it. But if you look at like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and all these streaming services, they're literally throwing whatever at the wall to see what fucking sticks, which at the same point in time causes trash to get put out too. So like, it's like you go to a restaurant, right? And you have this menu that's got like 1,000 things on it. You're like, what do I choose from? Like, you're at that point in time, you literally are judging a book by its cover. So when you're scrolling through Netflix or Hulu, you're like, there's so much fucking shit here. I don't know what to watch. The cover of this one looks good, you know, versus I'll just put money into the next Marvel movie, or I'm just going to rewatch the next Marvel movie. You know, like at some point in time, you need to too much in the pool is going to make it worse. You know what I mean? So at that point in time, the only things that are sticking out are the ones that have the franchise, which
And I
sucks.
think that's what's going to continue. I think that's going to
Mhm.
be how movies go from now on. The biggest tentpole movies. So another example with Ready Player One. People say they haven't seen it in theaters. That movie was amazing, a fantastic movie to see in theaters. It was.
It was.
I don't think you can get the same effect without being in a theater setting with just the panning shots and such like that, especially at the end battle.
Like
Um,
the feelings that movie made you feel. Like
But what
caring.
happens, guys,
Oh,
when somebody takes the pole out of the tent? What happens when the tentpole films? Marvel Universe starts to go to Disney Plus, and people are watching WandaVision and watching the shows. The Falcon is Captain America. They're watching that stuff. They're no longer going to theaters the way they were. Theaters are closing their doors.
that's exactly what happens. Theaters close.
Is that what's happening, or is the industry going to adjust? Do you guys feel like there's going to be some kind of way that they've been trying? Movie theaters are trying to get indie nights in. They're trying to
I think
actually
we're
take
in
some of the
unknown
control back
waters.
and kill it. Right?
No, I don't think we're in unknown waters.
We are, with AMC saying, "Hey, we don't know if we can stay open past coronavirus." Like
Things are a little hazy. Click
things
has
are a
point,
little
though.
hazy. With okay, I didn't want to mention this earlier, but now is a great time to bring it up. All these movies are getting delayed now. And what is that going to
Right.
look like for a normal summer box office? Like July is normally hot and heavy time to make that money for these production companies. Now all those are getting pushed to October. Like Wonder Woman 1984, that got pushed to October. It was going to be out in August, no longer in August. And these tentpole films are now getting delayed. So how is that going to look for these production companies and the film industry being
I
able to
think
make
the
movies as a
effect
whole?
on it is what's going to happen is it's going to cover up any of those non-tentpole movies that are going to be coming out during those time periods where those lulls are available, so they can actually make that money back and release those content like the one we just you guys spoke previously, King of Staten Island. Any of those movies that try to hit that golden point of time between the biggest releases to actually get some viewership and such an interest are going to be entirely wiped out by these tentpole movies that are now releasing right on top of their schedule. Either they'll have to be pushed back and then they'll end up losing funding, things like that. This is going to negatively affect the entire industry, except for Disney, except for the big names.
Yeah, they'll
And
be fine.
even the Universal studios and such like that are going to be negatively affected. This is going to change how people perceive movies as actually going to be worth watching. I feel like this is going to devastate a lot of theaters with regards to
See,
viewership.
I don't think it's going to devastate the theaters per se themselves, like the actual like AMC or what Universal or IMAX or anything like that.
Well, they rely a lot on.
But look
They
at
do, right. Hold
AMC
on.
just released a press release saying we are probably going to close.
Well,
They rely on that summer box office.
Disney, yeah, exactly. You're right. But if Disney goes, hey, let's lower the price of owning the movie to play the movie or to play the movie in the theaters, what that's going to create is if the movies are being pulled out, it's going to create a boom, like a burst of money influx into these companies. Like if they can't stay afloat until then, obviously they've been dying before that, but I feel like once
they've been hurting already.
that's not necessarily the movie industry itself getting hurt by it because they're playing the movies. I'm saying that's just showing the industry as a whole. Everything's going to the streaming services.
Well,
But-
but then you also get into the political side of things with in regards to AMC pissing off Universal and Universal pulling every single one of their movies from AMC.
That was their fucking fault, though.
That was their fault, and that's
Right.
also leading to these downfalls of some of these theaters. And AMC has like what 2,500 theaters across the states.
Yeah.
If they close, I mean that I don't know what that's going to look like for the state of the movie industry in general.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, right? But
I feel like there could be some bounce back. I really do. And I feel like the tentpole films are what's going to do it. But with that being said, I feel like they're going to cover up anything that's trying to come out underneath those tentpole films.
Exactly
creativity,
right. It's
the
going
true
to kill
creativity.
the creativity. And those guys are only going to succeed if they sell to Netflix, sell to Hulu, and they become one of those rare gems. Like there's those gems you every once in a while find on Netflix and Hulu that are really shining and people want to watch it and they've never heard of this stuff before. And I think that's going to be the only place things like that can release these days.
Yep, the streaming services, Amazon and Netflix. So that's the topic, guys. I think it's time think it's time we give it over to our friends and fam and awesome peeps in chat for our Q&A.
That's
Yeah, I think
right. So if you guys have any questions for us or comments on the subject or any of the games that we've been talking about or movies we've been talking about, please feel free to ask in chat. We'll read that question back so our listeners on SoundCloud and iTunes and everything else can know what that question is, and then we'll do our best to answer it. While we're waiting for your questions, let's we're going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing this week here on Tetrad TV. I'm so excited. We finally have like a semblance of a schedule. So tomorrow night, you can join us here on Tetrad from 8 to 10 for Light Level Tuesdays. I know Grenade and Raccoon, and I might join, we'll see, are going to be playing Destiny 2. That's right, Destiny 2 for Light Level Tuesdays. Wednesday is our Community Spotlight Day from 6 to 10 with Last Pen Fighter and our Community Spotlight streamer, who I think we're still trying to figure out this week.
Oh, yeah, we'll get him up there.
All right, we'll get him up there. Thursday, Tetrad Thursdays, where I think this week we're going to be playing Warzone. Warzone. It's gonna be all four of us, the four writers of the Nerdpocalypse, playing together on Tetrad Thursdays from 7:30 to 10 p.m. Fridays, Grenade's going to be doing something special. I don't know if it's going to happen this week because he's been dealing with his teeth stuff.
I'm going to do it this week.
You're doing it this week.
Tony, yep. I just decided that I'm going to make Tony Capriola get in here with me.
All right, so join Grenade for Splosion Fridays from 8 to 10. And, of course, we have Game Night Saturdays, where we're going to be playing stuff like Super Fight and Jack 3, right? I don't know what the name of that is. Jackbox 3.
Like that. Party games, we're talking
other
about
fun
Smash
party
Brothers,
games
things like that with you guys. So we're gonna try to throw some things like that at you guys, some Uno, some just card games, some fun stuff.
So that's what our schedule looks like here on the Tetrad channel.
I would be here for the Uno. That's about to throw down. You're going to see some people get angry. We're going to be angry.
Oh, yes.
So How Do You Dukin asks, do you think AMC and the physical companies that may or may not be going out of business will try to get into the tech sphere, like streaming, in parentheses? Will we see an AMC streaming service or AMC making deals with actors and directors for unique releases?
Don't they already have one? Don't they already have a streaming service?
They do have an AMC VOD service. It's not that successful compared to like Amazon Prime, where the stuff is being released on Amazon at the same time as AMC. But because AMC has the name of AMC, they're able to get these movies to premiere on there. But they're also premiering elsewhere. I think is the difficulty.
Come down to like the sellout nature of this. They're gonna have to sell big. They're gonna have to release any content they have owned for themselves down to other streaming services. They're gonna have to involve themselves in other streaming services to actually recover from this. I think that's gonna be the path they're gonna take. I don't think they're gonna hold just AMC by themselves. They're not gonna be able to make it.
They're gonna have to shell out some big dollars for a mildly mediocre film just to hold water. You know?
Now, will AMC start buying parking lots and doing drive-in theaters? Are we going to see the comeback of the drive-in theater because of this?
No.
I as much as I would love to see a drive-in theater, like because that whole atmosphere is just awesome. Those aren't ever coming back, man. That's the thing.
We tried it here in my town. We literally tried that. They brought back the drive-in theater. They bought all the money for it. You know what? It lasted a week, and then no one came back for the next.
Really?
Show. Yeah, they literally closed down the next theater halfway down. Like there was no one there.
So Cloudy Visions asks kind of the same question. How does everyone feel about the movie industry moving to its own streaming service and releasing films to watch at home for a price or membership? Which we kind of hit on that. But like King of Staten Island, like you can straight up watch that. And that's why I feel like these tentpole films are being delayed into the fall is because these big companies want to cash in on those tentpole films like Wonder Woman 1984.
Right. I feel like it's just like every other company right now. Like everything, like look at GameStop. You know, they used to be predominantly huge in the gaming market. Now they're not. They're going to online. Everything's going to Amazon. Walmart's got their online store. Why not the movie industry? You know, why wouldn't they just do the same thing?
Yeah,
Sure.
it's just that's what streaming services are. They're basically a
Mhm.
one-stop shop for watching your favorite shows and
Now,
not
if they
having to go out of the house.
if they start charging you, like say you have Netflix and a Marvel movie's coming to Netflix, which it won't. I'm just using it for instance. They start charging to watch that movie, like say $15 just to watch it in the family. I wouldn't agree with that because you're already
People
paying for the
would.
service. Yeah, people would flip their lid.
Yeah,
But
it wouldn't.
other than that, I feel like
Or do
everybody's gonna have to.
Or do you add on a streaming service edition where it's like, get movies day one for an extra
one.
$20 a month, something
Yeah,
like
Hulu
that?
does that, don't
exactly
they?
that. Exactly
Yeah.
that. That's probably what the future is going to be. Is day
Yeah,
one
Hulu-
release on
Doesn't-
those services.
Doesn't Hulu already have something like that?
I mean, Hulu has subscription services where you can subscribe to HBO, Showtime, whatever. I don't know if they have a video on demand service like that to watch like King of Staten Island or these newer films coming out.
And don't forget about Vudu and the way they've done business
Right.
too for a little while.
Voodoo partnered with Walmart. I can't stand it.
You're bringing up what
Partnerships.
Raccoon was saying, and we were talking about earlier. If you look what Cloudy says about the drive-in, he says they opened up one here, but it's $60 a car. Who's gonna
Exactly.
fucking go to a drive-in for $60?
And that's the problem.
Like
It's
that,
not going to
you know.
last.
Well, if you have an SUV with a family of 5, spending $60 is the same price you'd pay to go into a theater. But if it's just you, absolutely not.
Or a couple, or even
couple,
well, I
yep.
mean, couples.
And that's not the food either.
Exactly.
not the food.
So you easily still spend $100 to
So-
go see a movie.
That's something
So-
I talked about actually a little bit earlier, real quick. I wanted to talk on. There's a movie theater here in my town. I know they're getting more famous. It's like they do dinner in the movie theater. It's actually more of a restaurant than a movie theater itself. And I think the combination draws in people. They sell good food. They let you drink while you're watching movies. Who doesn't like that? That
I
might
got-
be
I love
another.
that.
Yeah,
I got
know.
hammered at the Avengers.
Yeah. So having those options available,
Mhm.
those little quirks will drive people in, but it's a temporary fix. I mean, long
Mhm.
term, is that going to actually hold?
Cloudy's got a good question here. Does everyone think movies are a dying breed? Because I feel like I never hear people talk about movies, but everyone talks about a show series.
No.
And
No.
I like so that's I don't think that so as far as like have you guys heard the word zeitgeist? Right?
Yes.
You
What
guys
is
know
the
a
definition of
zeitgeist-
zeitgeist for those who don't
So-
know, Penn?
For those who don't know what a zeitgeist is this think of it as like the general conversation. These are the popular topics of the time. The zeitgeist right now would be riots. It
Yep.
would be the movies getting delayed. It would be Rick and Morty because that season just ended, right? So that's the zeitgeist. That's the conversation that most people are having around like a water cooler at work or here on a podcast, right? So I feel like absolutely not, Cloudy. I feel like movies are right now we're not talking about them because the box office is closed. I mean, people aren't going to see theaters because of COVID. But I feel like if you go back to last year, there was times when all that was on my Facebook was, "Oh my gosh, Thanos!
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
gosh, Thanos!" or
Mhm.
Deadpool, or Ant-Man. Whatever was out, whatever big tentpole films were out, that was what everybody was talking about. That was the discussion. But then you had the in-between periods, a couple of weeks after that film comes out. Now everybody's talking about that Game of Thrones episode where
Right.
the bitch
Right.
went cray, right?
it's black.
Everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
Right. So like those big shows are, I think the point to make here is shows have got to the point where they're at the same level of discussion now. That the end of Game of Thrones was talked about as much as the Avengers films.
10
Right.
out of 10.
Now-
Great word usage on Zeitgeist.
Quick-
Good
10 names for
zeitgeist
that.
usage.
Yep. 10 names.
So, how do you
10
Dukin asks, I have a hard time making it through entire movies digitally without getting bored, sitting at my computer, but never having an issue when going to a physical movie theater. If theaters are going to have a hard time, can there be a similar motivation somehow? Do you think there is something to do with that relationship between things?
Yes.
I think for our generation it is, and I think it's going to fade. So
The
something
ADD
that
generation?
Yeah, so our generation is, well, we're starting to hit middle age, right? We're starting to get a little bit older in the ages, right? We're not even close to old yet, really quick. Just a
I'm not
point.
old raccoon.
No one's old here.
You guys
but
and dating us tonight is
you know
horrible.
what? So, but at this point, so something I'm noticing with the younger generation is they don't care. Like, I don't think I've
Yep.
ever seen a group of young kids at a movie theater. It's not, and I've gone to movie theaters quite often within the last year prior to the current situation, and there was just no one there. There's no
Well,
kids.
maybe the last
families
Flair-
movie
were out there.
generation.
The flair and the
So-
stigma just isn't there. Like, you know,
It's
like,
gonna fade. That desire, that need to have that type of setting and feeling is
Mhm.
not going to be as required.
They don't know
And
what to
And the
expect. It's a
attention
different-
span.
right.
yeah,
So attention span, go back to the question that he asked. The attention span's a big part of it, but also think about expectations. As a kid, that was magic.
Yep.
You go with your parents to watch Star Wars. You go with your parents to watch, because we had all the prequels that came out when we were kids. Loved them when I was a kid, right? As a kid, it was like, fuck yeah, this is great.
sorry.
And yeah, loved it. That was like my favorite time, is when dad's like, all right, I got movie tickets. Let's go watch this
Right.
movie now. It's going to be great. Nowadays, that it's not the same experience. Like we talked about for a while, our habits of as consumers have changed. And the current generation of people that are coming into their 20s, things like maybe they haven't had that magical experience. Maybe they're at home
Like-
watching on their Plex server, you know?
He said two things in there that made me think, you know, one, where you're at is not conducive to watching a movie. Like, me and Klink have the conversation all the time. It's like, dude, is this anime in English? Can I watch it in English? Because I'm not really watching. I'm just listening to the
Hey,
words.
I
and what's
prefer it in
going on.
Japanese most of the time.
Not that's not even what we're talking about. Like, because I would rather play a game and have it going on the side. You know, I mean, I feel like where you're at versus sitting down in a movie theater, your only focus is the movie theater itself, not your computer and playing a game and something else going on.
Mhm, mhm.
And then Penn brings up another point, man. Like, going to the theater is magical. I remember my first movie was Matilda, right?
Oh, nice.
I remember going to the movie theater all the fucking time, almost every weekend. It'd be like by myself or with my buddy. I could tell you what I'd do. I'd take $1 with me because I knew how to hack the Cowboys of Moo Mesa video game, and my friends worked there in Emily City, right? And I'd play Cowboys of Moo Mesa for 2 hours up until the movie. I'd sit and watch the movie, go play a little bit more Cowboys of Moo Mesa, get some popcorn, and head out. And I had a good time doing it. I'd skateboard or ride my bike. Nowadays, like, with our current atmosphere and everything like that, like, one, do you really feel safe setting your kid off to go see a movie by himself, you know? Or is the movie itself worth going to? Or do we want to go see something like that? You know, and I remember Matilda's still a great movie. I watched it the other day and I fucking loved it. But
That movie wouldn't do good today in theaters.
it would not at all.
Because the people like you, Grenade, aren't there right now. You don't have those. The teens are hanging out at Walmart on their phones.
Exactly.
For some stupid reason.
Right? Everything is buried into their phone.
Well,
Like,
I was bringing this up earlier a little bit with the attention span of today's audience of these teenagers or young adults. They're used to 30-second to 5-minute clips on YouTube, on Facebook, and that's their attention span. So sitting down and watching a movie at home, I don't know if that's what they can even do, if that's what that audience
not
wants.
solely, right? Like, literally, I was talking to a guy one time. We're playing a video game together, right? And I could hear in the background, I'm like, "Do you got a movie on?" Oh, he's like, "Yeah, I watched Deadpool 2."
yeah,
Like, yeah,
right?
but we're playing Smite. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I got Deadpool 2 on my laptop, and I'm playing Smite.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, my brain can't. I can barely pay. There's a lot going on in Smite. Like, I gotta fucking focus. And here, this dude is like crushing it, getting 20 kills in Smite, no problem. And he's watching Deadpool.
So here's another topic that Code Jams was kind of bringing up with the world of independent movies festivals and independent theaters, like South by Southwest, like the Beverly Cinema down here in LA that does like Rocky Horror Picture Show every Friday. You have these independent theaters that are kind of leading content creators to put out things, but is it making enough of a splash in today's world of content where you have
No.
Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have all of these different sources of content to consume, and I don't think it makes enough of a splash. Sure, a movie can get made, a movie can get produced, but it's unfortunate that you don't have, you know, this mindset of movies that we had even 20 years ago.
Yeah, but what's that even say for the quality of the movies and the quality of the writing? I feel like from beforehand when we were younger to now, I feel like, I mean, you got your few gems of writers. You really do. But then back beforehand, like the stories were so much more epic than they are now. Like versus
I think
nowadays,
that
Yep.
I think
they
it
don't.
plays into nostalgia though, because you go back and look at some of those stories, and then
They're
still not,
horrible.
like great.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so that's part of it, but the other part of it we already touched on. A lot of those creative teams are now on movies.
Mhm.
When you look at some of the credits now for the production crews, for the writers, for the directors, they're doing TV episodes for Star Trek Discovery or
Yeah.
Sure.
Which
something
is
like that.
which is itself Star Trek Discovery. Like, if anybody's ever watched it, like, okay, when I went into that show, I didn't think I would like it because of how the story was based. But if you go into like Picard or Star Trek Discovery, it's a 12-hour movie. Like, it's a
Basically.
phenomenal 12-hour movie. You know, it's like so
That's
much
where it's
better
going.
than when Nemesis. Like, if you put this Discovery over
God.
Nemesis, it's so much better. You know, like, and that's what's crazy too is some shows are really really good. You know. Like,
Yeah.
Yep, that's where it is. Like, I think great topic, guys. I think let's wrap it up. And
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us here for episode 3 of Tetrad TV Popcorn Cinema versus the box office. I think, let's see, we're going to be rating a channel here tonight. What I'm seeing online right now is Lendy's. You guys all right with
Yes,
rating
we'll
Lendy's
do that.
tonight?
Two Lindy's.
All right, we're going to be
Really,
rating
Lendy?
Lendy's here tonight. Make sure you join us next Monday at 8 p.m. for episode 4 of Tetrad TV, The Culture of Remasters, and what that looks like in today's gaming world. I know I have a lot to say about that. A lot.
oh dear,
you would, man. You absolutely fucking would.
thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
So
Peace
thanks
out.
so much. Join us next week. Join us all week here on Tetrad TV, and make sure you check out that cool new domain name, tetrad.tv. That's right. We got a cool domain name now. I see your eye holes there, Grenade. Have a good night, everybody. Catch you later.